I saw a story once of a woman that was actually having contractions, but she didn't know because she had gone through pains so much that she didn't know that she was having didn't know she was having. The child ended up dying actually. Okay, so one of the things that that you find very, very prominent with people that have sickle cell disease is that most organizations do not accept them once they are aware.
Does it get harder though? Because now like they know that this is something that is not their fault and they should not have been in this situation to start with. And she mentioned earlier about pain, do they feel pain differently? Have you ever met people that no matter how you talk to them, they just feel like it's not my fault? Like, why am I the one having to go through this? Why am I in this situation? What advice did you give them? Like, how did you tell them? Like, how did you encourage them?
Welcome to the Timeline Show.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of our Timeline podcast where we discuss topics that matter. Today we're turning our attention to a condition that affects millions of people worldwide, sickle cell disease. This is not just a medical condition but a journey for those that live with it. And joining me on this episode is my co-host Precious and Jennifer. Hi guys, how are you guys doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
You guys are looking so fresh.
Thank you.
So buckle up as we embark on this enlightening journey. Sickle cell, based on popular knowledge, AS and AS got together, had children, and maybe one or two.
Right.
Yes. But then, as I was reading up on it, I saw that the World Health Organization had a lot of verified health sites had a lot to say about it. The World Health Organization defined it as a common genetic condition due to a hemoglobin disorder, that is the inheritance of mutant hemoglobin genes from both parents. See how large this sounds?
Exactly.
Hemoglobin. It's mutant hemoglobin. But then, we have you here to break it down for us, help us understand better how it works.
So, when we talk about sickle cell, we are just saying that an individual cannot retain oxygen. That's what it basically is. The cells in the body come in circular forms or round forms, which makes it easier for these cells to pass through the vessels or arteries in the body. But when we are talking about someone that has a sickle cell disease, the person's cells form a sickle shape, which makes it very, very hard for the cells to pass through these streams, causing a very painful experience for the individuals.
I remember you talking about your misconceptions. To be very honest, when I was younger, I just thought, sickle cell, AS and AS, they give this and then you just have SS. And also, I feel like a lot of people, not just me, when I was younger, I felt like, they could not exceed the age of 20 or they could not exceed the age of like 15. I felt like a lot of them died early, but like in the course of my research, like a lot of them actually like live, and then most of the symptoms that they go through a lot of symptoms that it is easy to identify that this person is a sickle cell patient or a sickle cell warrior, like they call them. For instance, some of them go through organ damage, stroke, like a lot of things, weight loss, weight gain, a lot of things, but like that. But then we fail to recognize that most of them also go through mental health problems. Like they go through so many issues, and like pain, like you said also. Like some of them go through so many issues. But then at the beginning of this podcast, we said it was a journey. But like for the children, for instance, for children that are just born into it, and then because most of them like they recognize that this is a sickle cell patient from like 1 year or 2 years, they don't have like proper knowledge about mental health and all of that. So like how do they, like what is the relationship now between sickle cell and mental health, especially in these young children, like in this grade, first off?
Okay, for these children, it will be very, very hard because they don't have that much of mental awareness. I think the mental burden or the psychological burden is on their parents because they will have to deal with this crisis that come up once in a while. So I think the burden is mainly on their parents and not actually on the children at that time. Not because they don't feel pain. They feel pain, but they don't really understand really what's going on at that time. So the psychological burden is mainly on their parents.
And I feel like it's even worse for them because at that point they're like in the point of oblivion because they don't even know like what's going on.
They just know that they're feeling pain all the time. Yeah. Now how about the ones that are already like adults or in their teen and they already know that I get sick all the time, and because of that, because I had a friend then in school that would always miss school. I didn't even know what was wrong with him at first. I just knew he would always miss school, and he was always getting sick. So I just knew that it was like eventually I found out that okay, he had sickle cell, and I just felt okay, every sickle cell patient, they get sick all the time. Yeah. So what about their mental health? Because they have to go through all of that. They have to think about the fact that they are missing school and everything.
Yeah. So we just talked about children, and we also mentioned that this is a journey. Eventually, you begin to realize that somehow you're different from other people. You don't get to do things like other people do, and there's a stigma that comes with mental health. We are getting more educated now in Africa and Nigeria specifically. Before, people used to believe that it's some kind of evil spirit that is involved in all these things. So there's a stigma that comes with having sickle cell disease. One of the things that is very, very prominent among people that deal with sickle cell disease is depression. They have to deal with depression because they just can't deal with being able to miss life. They are not getting things together. They just can't feel life. That's just the truth. They can't enjoy the quality of life like every other person does. So another thing is they go through panic disorder, anxiety disorder, paranoia, PTSD, and all these things. Anxiety, just like we said, just like it says, being anxious because you don't know when or where the crisis can happen. You can't predict even the level of pain that you'll be having or where you'll be having the pain. And also you can't even predict the symptoms that will come. Sometimes it's back pains. Sometimes this can be the person. We've seen situations of kidney failures and the rest of them. Their organs just do not function. Sometimes they feel pain in diverse forms. So because of this, they're always anxious. They're always paranoid. They're always PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They're always stressed. So these are all the mental health issues that arise from being a sickle cell warrior. And we cannot overemphasize depression, because depression is one thing that they almost have to live with almost all the time, knowing that your quality of life will not be like other people.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. So it's already like an established fact that their body is like more susceptible to the pain. But then I have a question to ask. Does it mean that the pain that they feel or the mental or the psychological challenges that they feel, does it vary in person? Like, are there some people that have just grown to live with it, or like everybody faces the same, psychological problems or challenges?
Okay, so the pain, it's constant for all of them.
Okay.
But the thing about pain also is the threshold. The more you feel pain, the more you get numb to some level of pain. I saw a story once of a woman that was actually having contractions, but she didn't know, because she had gone through pains so much that she didn't know that she was having didn't know she was having. The child ended up dying actually, because she just didn't know that she was having contractions. So pain is something that they have to get used to. And the thing about it is that sometimes they actually vary in degrees, because you don't actually know where the pain. Today you might feel like the pain is in your lower back, and then next time it's somewhere else. So you might get used to the pain in your lower back, but eventually it might move to somewhere else, your bones, your muscles, all these places. So you just can't pinpoint where the pain is.
One thing that struck me about is the fact that you've had a interface with them at some point, counseling and all. Now we're talking about the mental health problems they go through. Even people that are born like healthy, you get like they have issues they go through in their daily lives.
Yeah.
What sort of challenges do these people, the sickle cell patients, what challenges they face in their daily lives, work related, financially related?
Okay, so one of the things that you'll find very, very prominent with people that have sickle cell disease is that most organizations do not accept them once they are aware that they are sickle cell warriors, because of the fact that you can't predict the illness. You can't predict when they will have a crisis. And you know that every organization is out for profit. So because of it, most organizations, they don't accept people with sickle cell disease. So, and when it comes to doing some example, she just mentioned a classmate that doesn't usually appear in classes. So these are also an issue, because if the lecturers are not patient and the classmates are not patient, you realize that these people actually have more challenges to deal with. They're not just dealing with sickle cell disease, they're also dealing with the stigma, isolation, and the rest of them that comes with the experience.
So like it basically affects the quality of their life.
Exactly.
And even the fact that they also have to bear the financial burden of it, because they have to treat, they don't know when their pain will come. So it's not like they have money stashed for their for the issues that they have. And now, like, looking at the fact that these people have all of this going on, what ways do you think, like, what kind of effective treatments can be given for their mental problems? Like,
are there any treatments available for them?
There are treatments available. I think just like you mentioned, that there are a few people that I talk with. When it comes to mental issues, let me start with mental issues. There are a few. Therapy is one thing that it's very, very effective. Talking with someone being aware, someone guiding you through the pain, the challenges that come with everyday life. We also recommend diary keeping for most of the people that struggle with sickle cell disease. They just have to keep diary, find a way to vent. We also look at these people also have to have a very good relationship with their medical doctors or the doctors in charge. They know the constitution of their health and they know what to recommend for them. Some people actually do go through exercises and many other things for people that are stronger. There are a lot of people that are weaker, so we can recommend exercises for them. So, but finding a way to just vent and not keep the whole emotion stuck up, and then you now become suicidal or
depressed.
Yeah. So that's just it.
So now we know that these people, they go through like mental health problems. They also go through problems in their social life, in their daily life, even in terms of relationships and all. So you mentioned counseling. You also mentioned that they could keep diary. How effective is therapy for them? Because I know that it's not their fault.
Okay.
Especially for the children, it's not their fault. How effective do you think therapy has been for them?
It's wonderful, especially if you meet the right persons and the right therapists. They are actually, because in fact, you can't be a therapist if you're not good. That's just the truth. So if you meet the right persons, you'll be able to pull through, because you'll be discussing. The person has to be with you 24/7, understanding your challenges, find out what works for you. I think talking is actually one of the most, when it comes to all these things, it's just education and psychoeducation. You have to let the person know this is not your fault. Yeah. And the person has to also understand people around them. Yeah, they have to understand that these people actually are people themselves. They might not be able to understand you, but you have to also understand that they might not be able to understand you, and find coping mechanisms for all these things.
Does it get harder though? Because now, like, they know that this is something that is not their fault, and they should not have been in this situation to start with. And she mentioned earlier about pain. Do they feel pain differently? Have you ever met people that, no matter how you talk to them, they just feel like it's not my fault? Like, why am I the one having to go through this? Why am I in this situation? What advice did you give them? Like, how did you tell them? Like, how did you encourage them?
Okay, so 60 to 70% of people that struggle with sickle cell disease believe that their parents are the reason or the cause of their issues. That's actually one of the reasons why many of them tend to want to end their lives and just have peace. So you have to educate them and psychoeducate them to realize that yes, their parents actually are at fault, but now they have an opportunity to actually live. They're actually people that actually love the fact that they were given an opportunity to actually live. They preferred that they were not aborted, or so they're actually people that love that. So you have to bring them to a place where they realize that it's an opportunity for them to live life. Actually, it might not be the best form of life, but they can actually pull through, because everyone has a challenge. Actually, every living human being has a challenge. It's just that we have different challenges. Someone that is that is struggling with cancer is another thing. So the person is not responsible for the cancer. Somehow it's happened.
Yeah.
So it's still, the person has to deal with that challenge. So at the end of the day, you have to bring them to a place where they realize that they can still live life effectively.
Yeah.
Even though.
All right. So remember I said that sickle cell is not just a medical condition, but a journey for those that live in it. We'll be going on a short break now. And when we come back, we'll be discussing more on support system and how they are very effective for these people. Stay with us.
The first season of Timeline is on. The journey so far has been amazing and impactful. The world needs change agents. The world needs me, you, and all of us. Join me on Timeline as we continue to share important information and discuss social issues that would help someone out there. Let's continue to advocate for critical changes on issues affecting our world today. And together, amplify messages that provide answers to burning questions. Our journey continues as we create awareness and promote shifts in health matters and other social issues that will alleviate personal and communal struggles, guided by international laws and best practices. Join me on Timeline exactly 7 p.m. every Friday on Youth Network's YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification button. You can become an agent of positive change by dropping your comments in any of our episodes as a contributor or as a professional. Join the conversation respectfully.
Welcome back to the Timeline podcast. We're still discussing sickle cell disease. We've established that it is not just, the physical part of it to them. It also has a mental health, connection. And now we're moving on to support systems that are available for them.
Exactly. I was talking about the kind of pain that they feel, and then we forget that these people actually live within us. They live in families. Most of them even live in extended family, and a lot of people don't even understand the gravity of the pain that they feel. So I wanted to ask, what is the role of their parents and friends, people living around them, in making sure that the psychological challenges that they feel are not so much of a burden on them?
Okay, when it comes to their support system, which is basically their family and friends, first of all, we have to know that these families actually have their own challenges.
Yeah.
Because having someone that is always sick, it's very, very tasking, very draining. That's the word. So most of the times what we do is that as we have therapy for these warriors, we also have therapy for their families to help them vent, to actually also help them understand that these people actually need their help, and also give them an opportunity to actually air their views, vent their emotional challenges and the rest of them. So this is usually the first thing that we have to do. And we have to educate their family also on the signs and symptoms they have to look out for in these individuals that could point to mental illnesses. For example, for depression, we know that isolation is one major symptom or sign that this individual, something is actually going on.
Yeah.
So and these families, let's not talk about the financial constraints or the financial challenges that come with taking care of these people. So they have to know that they actually have a lot of work to do. And they also have to come to the place where they settle their mind that this is just their task.
Yeah, this is what they are faced with.
Exactly. You just have to accept the reality. We actually come to a point where we bring them to the place where they understand this is the reality surrounding this person, and they have to just be there for them.
Because I feel like they have a lot to let go of, the guilt that comes with it.
Exactly.
They have to, and then also the fact that they have to accept that this is the situation that they have been faced with.
Okay, so now let's talk about the mental health resources are available for them now? Like, are there like free therapy sessions? Because, for instance, you said that you're already going through like so much financial strain trying to, keep up with the crisis that they face. So, like right now, are there like free therapy that you're actually going through pain, you're actually going through crisis because of what you have, but then like are there any therapy sessions that actually like take away the burden of paying for therapy away from their parents and from them as well?
Okay, yes, there are a few non-governmental organizations that actually give free therapy, though, but we don't have as many of them. Like, for example, in Nigeria, but there are a few of them, and I belong to one where I volunteer, and but just like we said, non-governmental organization, they have the limits they can bear and a number they can take.
Yeah.
So but I will encourage that more organizations come up, and then Nigeria, the government, they look into things like this, coming up with sessions where even in our federal medical centers, national centers, hospitals, states hospitals, we can actually have provisions for this. And also in insurance, there are many insurance schemes in Nigeria, these should be part of the provisions that people can come to the hospital, walk into the hospital, and have therapy sessions free of charge under the insurance scheme.
Yeah. Oh, that's very beautiful. At least I'm very glad that these people don't have to like go through the pain of being a sickle cell warrior, and then also have to go through the pain of trying to afford therapy as well. So now let's talk about suicide. Before the break, you were talking about how most of them want to just kill themselves, how most of them live with guilt. So there's this word I found during the course of my research, euthanasia.
Okay.
So, exactly. I'm sure that you're already smiling, like you already know what I'm talking about. Okay. So like I was reading an article, and then a 28-year-old man in Kenya, he said he wanted to like take his life because the pain has like gotten beyond him. Like he has not even like his body has not even gotten tolerant to the pain. So like, what do you think about sickle cell patients or warriors that want to get into this thing, that want to ask for assisted suicide, like they call it?
Okay, first of all, we have to agree that nobody deserves to die.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it gets bad to any point where someone should want to die. Actually, it's just that the person haven't met the right people, or the person doesn't have the right support base. But euthanasia is not an option for me. That's my own take on the matter. In fact, most countries do not, although some are actually legalizing it,
yeah.
But it's not even an option, because there are people who have lived as long as 70, 80 years with sickle cell disease, and they lived a very good life, maybe not to the best of it like every other person, but they were able to live like life comfortably to an extent, and they did well. There are many of them. So I believe that we can overcome these challenges together if we actually come together. Yeah, if we join hands, we'll have a lot of impact. There's no reason for anybody to actually die.
Yeah. So, I asked you about the challenges they go through, in their workplaces, and you said most of these companies, like, they are profit driven. What advice will you give to, because we cannot force the companies to hire them. I mean, at some point we'll have to, but we can't do that right now. What advice will you give to these sickle cell warriors, in terms of job, because they cannot just go without jobs? Yeah. So what workplace remedies can you offer them?
I love the fact that we're in the 21st century where almost anything is possible. Now you can stay in the comfort of your house and work effectively, choose your hours of working. In fact, choose your job and choose when you want to sign in and sign out. So, and you choose, and okay, based on how many hours you work, that determines your pay. So, remote jobs are there. Get a remote job. With a remote job, you can effectively manage yourself and the job without actually thinking about exactly workspaces and the technicalities involved in them. So also pick skills. I have sickle cell warrior that's currently under my care. She's a baker. She had to learn baking. So she bakes at her own time. So she picks orders and she does it at her own convenience. So she doesn't have to be wondering whether I have to get to work by 8, distress and all those stuff. No, she doesn't have to think about that. So if you've gone to an organization and they are not accepting you, that shouldn't define you. That shouldn't make you feel like you're not worth it or all those
You're a
stuff.
warrior.
No, you're a warrior. You're a fighter.
Yes.
So pick a skill. Pick classes online. Pick courses online. Yes, and then pick jobs online. And you can still have the best quality of life, actually. And they're actually organizations that can actually accept you. So look for those ones also. Don't be defeated by one or two that said no. Or even if 10 said no, don't stop.
Yeah.
There will be one that someone said that there's actually a company out there that will make a mistake to hire you. So like I'm talking about a normal person now.
Right.
So there's always someone that will actually be there to hire you.
But don't you think that these remote jobs throws them more into isolation? Like, doesn't it just make them, all by themselves and,
Well, normal people, people without sickle cell disease, they have to deal with remote jobs also. So they're actually in isolation also. But what we actually advise also is that as you stay indoors, go out.
Yeah.
In a workplace, there are constraints. So that's why we actually say pick a remote job. We advise remote jobs. But that doesn't mean you stay at home all the time.
Okay, yeah.
You can mingle with friends, attend parties, have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't mean that you stay indoors.
Are there forums where they connect with other warriors like them too? Because I feel like it will help them a lot.
Yes, there are many of them. Like I mentioned, the group where I belong. So they are all together in a group. So it's just that they now assign who your counselor or therapist is. So they get to meet each other once in a while. So they know that there's somebody out there that is actually like them. And even though we don't have much of it here in Nigeria, in the Western society or the Western countries, they have many of them where they come group therapy.
Groups.
Yeah, so they just meet themselves and know, hello, you're like me, something like that. So they feel
Makes them feel more.
yeah, exactly. So, and the fact that they are aware that someone is like them helps them go through because they know that someone understands what they go through. So sometimes when they have their crisis, I watched a documentary online where a lady was saying that anytime she has crisis, she calls her friend who is also also a warrior, and then they discuss to a particular length. They go together to pick drugs. They go together, so it's nice.
Really nice.
And in the course of my research, I also saw that the World Health Organization recommended a lot of solutions. I know I've already covered most of it, connecting with people that are like them, remote jobs, and also living healthy lifestyles. Because I saw a lot of success stories. We mentioned that a misconception you had was that they don't pass like 15, 20. I saw 51-year-old people
70.
They even went as far as creating programs like, like research program, advocacy programs for sickle cell warriors, which is very, very commendable that they are turning their lemons to lemonades. So, that's just basically it. Practice healthy living mechanism, connect with people, just do what works for you, but in a quality and effective manner. And this is where we put a wrap to our conversation today. Don't forget to don't forget to keep your comments respectful. Follow us on our social media network at Healed Network. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Precious.
I'm Jennifer.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Bye bye.